Ring Fit Adventure is one of those games, well, maybe not games, exercise, toy, experience, yeah, from Nintendo, made exclusively for the Nintendo Switch system. It has a lot to it, despite potential first impressions, so let's talk about it. Upon first glance at Ring Fit Adventure, one might think that it's a bizarre take on the fitness game genre, trying too hard to present dynamic visuals at the cost of truly healthy, active workouts. However, you might be surprised to hear that, no, Ring Fit Adventure is not just some cheap cash grab of a peripheral experience from the toy company Nintendo. It's actually a really excellent exercise game that rewards continued play and regimented improvement. While it might not exactly be a highly dynamic experience overall, it does present new and creative engaging ideas in and throughout the main story mode. The game has been out for a while since its launch back in 2019, and it's only become more popular, as well as a hot commodity of sorts due to COVID-19 and the various quarantine protocols. Having a game where one could get a legitimate workout that even scales to one's personal goals and ability, while not even having to leave their own living space, became an immediately attractive idea. I was lucky enough to buy a copy of the game at launch before it became nearly impossible to find at a reasonable price. Part of the reason the game is so rare is also to do with the Ring-Con peripheral, the new pack-in gimmick for Ring Fit. Nintendo likely did not manufacture too many of these upon the initial game's launch, as it took a whole while before Nintendo started manufacturing more after the initial shortages. The Ring-Con itself is a cool, durable piece of workout equipment. I even like the multitask mode, where you can work out with the Ring-Con even when the Switch is off, all the while having points that accumulate and benefit your main story mode progression. Very cool. The leg strap is also nice, but I must admit I do at times have an issue where it slides down my thigh during jogging if I do not wrap it around my leg just right. But it doesn't happen all that often. Overall, I'm a much bigger fan of these peripherals than I was for anything that was made for Wii Fit. And I can definitely tell that's because Nintendo has learned from their mistakes of the past. There's even a utilization of Nintendo's vitality sensing technology that they were working way back on in 2009. Do these fitness toys, let's call them, really replace things like free weights and other kinds of gym equipment though? No, certainly not. But it's a reasonable substitute in what it does cover, and it also works in ways that are unique to itself, which is also great. But what exactly is the game? What is the narrative and mechanisms behind this piece of software? Well, okay, so to start, there's this giant, dark, incredibly, almost concerningly buff dragon who's been making a real mess of things in this, fitness world. The dragon used to be allies with the powerful talking ring, by the way the only character with full voice acting in the game, for some reason, who you then meet and begin a fitness journey to defeat Drago, that's the large dragon. It's definitely a Nintendo storyline, but believe it or not, there's more to it than what's on the surface. Don't let those colorful visuals and goofy animations fool you. This game talks about body image issues and feeling unworthy of one's own love. I'm not even kidding, they actually go into some pretty deep stuff. And not even in a preachy or overly informal way, mind you. It's all lighthearted, but it does touch upon some interesting points to consider when it comes to knowing what one wants from their body. There's also other characters who represent key areas of the body for fitness, like Abdonis or Allegra, Armando, you get the gist. Overall though, there's nothing that will blow you away in this story. It's made for children in mind too, so don't expect anything too complicated or nuanced, though it does go to some interesting territory. It's simple fun that has enough self-awareness and charm that it'll retain its entertainment value for a very long time. But truth be told, the story is not the real reason one likely comes back to Ring Fit Adventure, nor is it really intended to be anyway. The main reason the game is engaging is how it blends exercise into gameplay mechanics, like jogging and leg raises for in-game movement, and body workouts for attacks and guards in enemy battles. Because yes, there are enemy battles in this fitness game, and these enemies are quite charming, many being based off fitness equipment, and there's a good amount of them with great amounts of variety. The same can be said for level designs, attack and defense options, the menu system. The game overall is jam-packed with well-crafted varieties of activities and aesthetics. The game is mostly built off levels that consist between a mix of jogging sections and enemy encounters, with the more variety of challenges and obstacles becoming present as the game progresses. There is also more specific challenges, as well as mini-games that challenge other things like balance and timing, while also exercising specific muscles and areas of the body. These mini-games are often called game gyms, and while I wasn't the biggest fan of all of them, I'll admit they make for nice excursions from the main structure of levels. The main levels, especially the jogging sections, boast some beautifully crafted vistas and environments that make them really a joy to run through and engage with. Learning to properly navigate these levels becomes fun in its own way, with collectibles strewn about the courses left for the more curious players. While the collectibles are mostly in-game currency, experience point boosters for leveling up faster, and ingredients for temporary stat boosts during battles, the overall need to find and collect never goes away between levels. Currency can be exploited by players who do not mind redoing levels over and over, but even then it doesn't break the game's appeal. Players who overlevel and overcollect can still find themselves low on cash from spending on the expansive skill tree, or in the lovingly charming shop where one can buy equipment and smoothie upgrades. While I won't go too in-depth on everything there is to discover, there is more that I'm sure many people who bought the game haven't experienced yet, because like many fitness games, it can be hard to continue going back to it. That's actually the main point of what I want to talk about today, what personally continues to keep myself at least going back. Obviously, this game is a fitness game, and it's not a perfect substitute for a personally optimized health and workout regimen. You're not exactly going to get shredded or have a superhero build just from playing 15 minutes of Ring Fit every day, but you will likely stay healthier than you were before. Look, I'm not going to say I'm the healthiest individual because I'm not, but I do try and stay healthy when I can, and in terms of keeping moving and active, especially in an age of less certainty outside of the living space, Ring Fit came in super handy. There's even specialty modes in the game so that one can work out quietly if they're worried about making too much noise. Maybe they've got a baby in a smaller place, or they live in an apartment with less than soundproof walls. Either way, there's options for that. The amount of scaling to the user is also something that has allowed me to continually feel rewarded by the game, as the game will ask at the start of each session as to whether or not one wants to increase or decrease the level of difficulty. What this does is set an adjustable pace for players, which allows for more flexible play sessions, as well as differing means to do a variety of workouts. There are other modes too that focus on custom workout patterns outside of the story mode as well, which focuses primarily on specific challenges or movement exercises. As well, there's also newly added rhythm game, which is, it's alright. It certainly does have some fun tracks in it, but it's nothing I find myself returning to with the same enthusiasm that I have for the main story. Finally, I guess the biggest point one can make about Ring Fit is just how long that story mode is, and just how much exercise content they have actually managed to put in this one piece of software. Again, as I mentioned before, while the main game is not super dynamic per se, after all, we're not going to suddenly change genres halfway through the campaign, it doesn't necessarily need to be all that dynamic though. The game's focus is on providing a continuous, long experience, which it does do. While it might seem at a few points that the main story is wrapping up, there's always new excuses and slight changes that extend the challenge along further. One might initially see this as cheaper padding in an RPG or some other kind of game, but Ring Fit is the experience where having a constantly developing game with new world maps and levels to run through is a good thing. Though the game certainly isn't endless, it has the potential to keep many players engaged with it for a long period of time, due to just how long the expansive campaign is. And when the result is more working out with fun results, what's to complain about? I believe in this sense, Ring Fit might be one of Nintendo's most ingenious software achievements. It keeps me active while never pushing me so hard that I feel as if I'd need other people to help. It keeps staying charming with its funny writing and visual attention to detail, and finally, it just keeps going. There's almost always new challenges and worlds to discover, as well as new opportunities to set up more complex workout sessions, perhaps after one fully finishes the campaign. I can't recommend Ring Fit Adventure enough. When it's more readily available and reasonably priced, that is, of course.